With a concurrent player base of 12,470,681, the groundbreaking virtual reality game had maintained its top position in the industry ever since its release 4 years ago. The game, known as Beautiful World, was a phenomenon that no competitor could surpass. No one had anticipated that the greatest game in the industry would emerge from a company founded by the immature youngest son of a powerful conglomerate. Yet, against all odds, that company, Ajin Software, man approached and asked if he was Sung Suho. Suho confirmed with a simple yes. The man nodded and said he had been waiting for him, explaining that the president had informed him that someone important would be arriving. Without hesitation, he gestured for Suho to follow him. Suho glanced around the building, taking in his surroundings. It was his first time visiting his uncle's company, yet something immediately stood out: the unusually high number of awakeners present. He couldn't help but wonder, why were there so many here? The man explained that many awakeners preferred stable jobs over the dangers of dungeon raids. As long as they received appropriate salaries, they could work and serve as guards within the company. He mentioned an ongoing project in development but refused to disclose any details. Suho's thoughts raced. Were they creating a game related to hunters? Suho arrived at his uncle's office, where Jinho greeted him, noting how long it had been since they last saw each other. He mentioned the incident at Korea Art University and the news of Suho's awakening. Suho apologized, explaining that life had been chaotic lately, making it difficult to stay in touch. Jinho remarked that Suho had grown a lot since their last meeting. Suho casually replied that he was in his growth spurt. Without hesitation, Suho presented something to his uncle, asking him to take a look. Jinho, slightly amused, pointed out that Suho was jumping into the topic rather quickly, considering how long it had been since they last saw each other. Jinho was intrigued by Suho's sudden approach, curious about the mention of a business proposal. He hadn't expected such a request when Suho reached out to meet him out of the blue. Suho, with confidence, stated that he had brought an offer his uncle definitely couldn't refuse. Jinho looked at Suho with surprise, realizing his nephew was asking for enough support to enter a gate. Suho confidently explained that if Jinho helped with purchasing the gate and assembling the necessary raid members to meet the entrance conditions, he would offer all the essence stones he'd obtained to Ajin Software. He assured Jinho that he could easily clear D and C rank dungeons on his own. Jinho, skeptical, questioned whether Suho, officially ranked as an E-rank hunter, could truly handle such a feat alone. Suho confidently stated that he had a way to clear the gate entirely on his own. Jinho, unconvinced, reminded Suho that he was also an awakener, albeit only a D rank, which, while higher than Suho's E rank, was still not enough to stand out in a gate. He then questioned whether Suho was going to such lengths to enter the gate, because he believed his brother-in-law and his wife had been involved with a gate during the cataclysm. If that was the case, Jinho urged him to wait, explaining that he was already continuously commissioning hunters to investigate it. Suho internally acknowledged that of course things would turn out this way. Beru questioned whether Suho was truly going to reveal his intentions. Without hesitation, Suho affirmed his decision, stating that his uncle was the person he trusted the most. Suho called out to his uncle, who responded with a curious hum. Without hesitation, Suho revealed the truth. He was an awakener who could level up. Jinho, caught off guard, questioned the concept of leveling up. Suho explained that an invader from outer space was hiding on Earth, and in order to stop them, he needed to hunt magic beasts and grow stronger. To do that, he had to enter dungeons and level up. Jinho, processing Suho's words, asked if he had heard about the solo leveling project. Suho, puzzled, repeated the term in confusion. Jinho let out a small laugh, assuming it was all a prank, an elaborate joke meant to trouble him, with a ridiculous request. He explained that what Suho had just described was actually the premise of a single-player game currently in development at Ajin Software. The story followed an awakener who, unlike others, could level up. Starting as the weakest E-Fight rank, he would grow beyond even S ranks, eventually becoming the strongest awakener to protect the world. Jinho scoffed at the irony, remarking on how pointless confidentiality was when employees readily shared everything with the president's nephew. Meanwhile, Suho's thoughts raced. That story, could it be his father's? Jinho dismissed Suho's claim, believing it to be a failed prank inspired by information he had overheard from Ajin software employees. Baru, however, reacted differently. With a knowing tone, he stated that Jinho must have vaguely recalled memories from the previous world. Turning to Baru in confusion, Jinho's expression shifted as he took in the strange, ant-like figure before him. Bewildered, he questioned what was with the creature's appearance. Remaining composed, Baru addressed Suho, asking for permission to step in. Suho, caught off guard, turned to Baru in surprise, wondering when he had appeared. Baru spoke with certainty, explaining that in a timeline now forgotten, Jinho had once been a mere subordinate who followed closely behind his liege. Among all humans, he had observed his liege's battles more than anyone else. Those powerful and thrilling moments had likely been imprinted onto his spirit, now manifesting as fragmented memories. Jinho, still puzzled, hesitated before asking for clarification. Rather than answering with words, Baru decided to demonstrate. Declaring that this would make Jinho understand faster than any explanation, he revealed a special key, a present from his liege. With a swift motion, Baru used the key to unlock Jinho's memory. Jinho's face turned pale as his surroundings shifted. He found himself in a vast, pure white space, devoid of any sound or sensation. From the distance, a lone knight slowly approached him, each step echoing in the emptiness. As the figure drew closer, Jinho's vision sharpened, allowing him to see the knight's face clearly. His eyes widened in shock. The knight approaching him from the pure white void bore a face identical to his own. Jinho's memories flashed before him. The first time he met Jinwoo, their very first conversation, and the moment he watched Jinwoo effortlessly carry all the pickaxes. He recalled the battles they fought side by side, the time he formally introduced himself and eagerly presented his offer. The memory of him proudly flaunting his full armor, crafted in Italy, surfaced as well, along with Jinwoo's unimpressed request for him to take it off. He remembered the time they sat together in a restaurant, deep in conversation. Jinho had spoken with sincerity, acknowledging the bond they had formed. In comparison to his own family, not only had Jinwoo saved his life, but he had also helped him achieve his goals. In that moment, Jinho had admitted that Jinwoo felt more like a brother to him than the one he had grown up with. Jinwoo, in turn, had accepted the sentiment, telling him that if Jinho saw him as an older brother, he would consider Jinho his younger brother as well. After all the memories flashed before him, Jinwoo's tears ran down his face. The realization struck him deeply, the reason he had met him again in this world. Meanwhile, Suho observed his uncle's reaction with confusion and concern. He turned to Baru and demanded an explanation. Baru, unfazed, reassured him that there was nothing to worry about. Jinwoo had simply regained the memories of the past world. Jinho came to a realization, acknowledging that the ability for limitless power had been passed down to Suho, his son. Suho confirmed it, though he noted that his abilities were somewhat different. Reflecting on the truth he had just regained, Jinho contemplated the existence of the god of outer space, the one who had been protecting this world from the beings known as the Itarim. As expected, his power was on an entirely different scale. Suho affirmed his determination, stating that he needed to become stronger as soon as possible to stop the impending Itarim invasion on Earth. Jinho chuckled, noting that Suho had brought a business proposal just to avoid acting shamelessly, a trait that reminded him of his father's stubbornness. With a sigh, Jinho acknowledged the gravity of the situation. Now that he understood the current turn of events, he could no longer treat Suho like a child or coddle him. Without hesitation, he accepted all of Suho's proposals. A wide smile spread across Suho's face, filled with determination for the challenges ahead. Jinho processed the realization that Suho must be taking on this difficult ordeal alone once again. However, the fact that Suho had wanted him to regain his memories meant only one thing: he was being given a chance to help. Determined, Jinho resolved to do everything in his power to support Suho. He would not stand idly by. This time, he would make sure to be of help. Suho arrived at the gate location, wearing a mask to conceal his identity. A group of people was already gathered, waiting for him. Observing them, Suho thought to himself that these must be the raid members his uncle had hired. It seemed like his uncle had found just the right people to fill in the headcount requirement. One of the men stepped forward, confirming the arrangement. He wanted to make sure they would be paid 4 million won just for showing up and not actually entering the gate. Suho simply nodded in confirmation, assuring them that the deal was exactly as promised. One of the men spoke up, eyeing Suho with a mix of curiosity and concern. He questioned Suho's confidence, warning that underestimating the gate could be a reckless move. Despite that, he assured Suho that if things became too difficult, they might still be able to offer some assistance, even with their current limitations. Suho smiled at the gesture and expressed his gratitude. As he stepped toward the gate, he turned back slightly and reassured them that if he ever found himself needing their help, he wouldn't hesitate to ask. Suho reflected on how his father had carried all the weight alone and continued to live that way. The realization deepened his understanding of the warmth hidden within the companion system he had received. Determined not to let his father bear the burden alone any longer, Suho summoned Essel and Gray. With resolve in his heart, he prepared for the battles ahead. It was time to start leveling up.